I'm Fritha, speech and language therapist and neurodevelopmental specialist, and you are joining me today on day 4 of our countdown to International DLD Day, which is tomorrow. I'm hoping you've seen my other videos, but if not, don't worry, you can catch up with those on Facebook, our Facebook page, or our YouTube, so that's the ISLTS Facebook page, or you can Google us to find the YouTube videos. So previously I've been talking about what DLD is and how you might spot it in your child or children that you work with, and also where to go for support. And today I'm going to be talking about some really good resources that you can use at home with your own children, or at work if you work with children, to support their understanding and their use of spoken language. They're not just for children who have DLD, they'll be useful for any children who are struggling with language, with spoken language. And also to say they're not specialist resources in any way, they're perfectly sort of normal games and activities, most of which I've stolen from my own children, so please don't tell them, and some of which have come from a clinic, and they're all freely available in retail stores, and I've picked up quite a lot of them, to be honest, from car boot sales and charity shops, my favourite. So the first thing to say about developing young children's language skills is the best thing you can do is just give your child some time every day, some quiet, uninterrupted time where you give them your full attention and you allow them to play with a variety of toys in the way that they choose to play with them. You give them plenty of quiet time to process language and think about what they're doing. You model some language for them, describe what they're doing, be really enthusiastic about what you see and join in with them. And try not to ask too many questions. And if you can do that for a little bit of time every day, 15-20 minutes every day, then that can make a really big difference to that early development of language. Okay, so the activities I'm going to show you today are perhaps when children get a little bit older and you want to be doing something a bit more structured or specific, but it's still fun and they won't realise that you're working on their language skills. So the first thing I'm going to think about is when children might struggle with understanding spoken language and particularly following instructions. So that might be because they struggle with understanding the parts of the instructions, so they don't actually quite understand what it is that you're saying, or it might be that they struggle to hold the instruction in their working memory in order to be able to carry it out, and both those difficulties are really common in children with DLD. So the first thing I'm going to show you is this jigsaw, which I love and all children love. I'm not sure if it'll be back to front on the video, and it's called Who Did This Poo? So as we know, all children love poo, and this is about animal poo, so even better because most children like animals. Now you can use any jigsaw, it doesn't have to be about poo, but what I really like about this one, and what's useful about this in terms of developing language skills, is that the jigsaw itself is on this kind of grid framework. And because of that, it's really good for following positional instructions. So you can say, oh, can you find the piece that comes underneath the cat? Or can you find the piece that comes next to the koala? Or you can say, oh, I think the bear is first in the line and I think the dog is last in the line. And then after a while, you can get children themselves to describe where those pieces are in the jigsaw. The good thing about this one also is it's got a big sort of picture that's the same size as the jigsaw pieces, so you can put that down and use as a framework. And again, it's really good for positional language and describing. It's got quite a lot of nice short words in it for children who are just developing those early literacy skills. And on the back is some information about animals and their poo. What's not to like? So yeah, that's a really good one. I really enjoy it. Most of the children I work with and my own children really enjoy doing that, and it's great for listening to instructions. And the next thing I'm going to show you is a look and find book. There's loads of these, but this is one that I particularly like. It's called Look and Find in the Forest, and it's by Usborne. It costs £2.99. I think I might have bought this in Aldi, to be honest, based on the price. So it's got really nice illustrations, as you can see, all different scenes on different pages, and then it has these little speech bubbles where it's got instructions like spot a spider on its web, where did I leave my toolbox, how many snails can you count, etc, etc, which birdhouse is the smallest. So it's got linguistic concepts like smallest, biggest, can you find one that's the same as this, etc, etc, and lots of other instructions. So when your children get a bit more competent at reading, they can read these themselves and find them, so they can do them in the back of the car. And before that, it's a really nice activity to do together, and it's really good fun. It's really good for following spoken instructions, developing those early linguistic concepts, and just sharing a book together and talking about things and noticing different characteristics on different pages. So yeah, that is a great resource. And then finally, for following spoken instructions, I've got this one. There we go. This is made by a company called Skillmatics, which I really like. I did buy this one new. And what you get in this, it's called Sticker Stories by Skillmatics, is you get these big scenes, they're double-sided like this, of like parks and pavements and things like that. You get a lovely book full of reusable stickers, which are all organised into different categories. So things on the road, things up high, things around us, etc, etc, people. And then you get these stories which you read out. And the idea is that you ask the children to listen to the story, and then they recreate what you're describing in the story using the stickers on the scene. Obviously, there's loads of ways that you can use this as well. So I've made a whole sequence story using the cards next to each other with the stickers, telling the story of one set of people and what they're doing and all the places that they're going to. Obviously, it's great for listening to instructions, as I've said. It's really good just for making up stories, for having fun, for using your imagination. It's good for category sorting because the stickers come in different categories. It's a really great resource to use. You don't have to think really hard about what you're doing. Any of the activities that you would naturally do with something like this will be developing language, and it's really good fun. And when you just think, I don't know what to do with my child, that's quite a good one to try. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is narrative and sequencing. So this is something that children with language difficulties often really struggle with. Narrative is really important because when we say narrative, what we mean basically is storytelling, but also discussing events of your own day, so that when your child comes home and they can say, oh, I did this and I did this. It's really important if something goes wrong, because they can say, well, first this happens and then this happens and then this happens, and they understand the course of events, the sequence of events. So it's that sequencing and that understanding of story. This I actually borrowed from my daughter's English teacher and haven't given back, but I will, I promise. It's called Mixed Up Fairy Tales. It's by Hilary Robinson and Nick Sharratt. Again, you don't have to get this exact book, but I just thought this was really fabulous. So what it has is it's all based on fairy tales that children know really well. Then it's cut into 4 parts. You can move the parts like this to choose the story and writing, and then the picture on the other side will match up with the story. So this now says, Cinderella was bossed around by 2 horrid stepsisters and fell asleep for 100 years before being woken up by Little Red Riding Hood's granny. Now this is really good for sequencing. So you've got first and last, you've got the beginning and the end, you've got first, then, then. It's really good for talking about story and the different elements of stories, such as who is in the story, where is it, what happened. It's really great. So yes, I definitely recommend that. For slightly younger children, I've got this puzzle. It's a 3-part puzzle. And again, it's a little story with a first, then. You can see some of the examples on the back of the different stories. This is quite old, so I don't know if this one is still available. It's made by Gecko, and I can't even remember where I bought it, but there are definitely similar ones available still. And it's really good for children because they can who are struggling with sequencing cards, because the jigsaw element just makes it a bit easier for them. And then again, you can talk about first, then, first and last, first, middle and last, beginning and end. Talk about what happened in the story, how the people in the story or the animals in the story might be feeling, what might happen next. And you can talk about how they might solve, or different ways they might solve the problem that might be happening. So verbal problem solving, prediction, inference, lots of really good language skills in that, and really good fun. Okay, so the last two things I'm going to talk about are, I think, always brilliant for children and developing language and also social skills, and that's board games. So I've got two here to show you. The first one is called What a Performance. Again, these are just examples of ones that you can use. I bought this from a charity shop. It didn't come with any instructions, but we figured it out. And what I really like about this one is you pick up cards, like a fairly sort of straightforward board game format. You have to read the cards, and things like pretend to be a fish, hum or whistle, I do like to be beside the seaside, and name 5 things that you would find in a kitchen. So as you can imagine, they're all quite language-rich activities. If your child's just beginning to develop literacy, they can read the cards themselves, or you can read them. They have to remember the instruction, they have to do the thing, they have to count along, they take turns, they manage if they're not getting something right, or if another person is winning. They have to understand the instructions of the game. Altogether, just absolutely brilliant for developing language skills, and children usually really enjoy them. And then the last one I'm going to show you, because I know this video is a bit longer than the other ones, but I'm hoping you don't mind because I show you lots of fun things, is this game, another one by Skillmatics. It's called Rapid Rumble. This really is very good for developing language skills. Children with language disorder will probably find it quite tricky to start off with, but you don't have to play it in the way the ways that's described in the instructions. You can do it in all sorts of different ways that work for you. So there's different parts of this game, but essentially it's a categories game where you have to name something based on a cue. So this is an animal that is green or orange in colour, or this one says a musical instrument. There's also got nice little facts on them if your children like learning bits and bobs. And the added element of this is that often you do it with a letter. So can you think of a Christmas thing that begins with B? Now this is really good for something that children with language disorder find tricky, which is called word finding or word retrieval. And what that means is that children often know the word. It's in their vocabulary, but they can't reach in and find it when they need it. And the more work we can do on categories, and being able to organise things in categories, so a Christmas thing, an animal that's black and white, an animal that's black and white and lives in a zoo. So the more you refine those categories, the more it orders those things in the filing cabinet in their brain, and the more easily they can reach in and retrieve that word when they want it. So that is a really good thing. Anyway, sorry, slightly longer video than normally, but hopefully you're all still awake. If you have any other questions, or you're concerned that your child might have DLD, you're very welcome to contact me or our team on dld@islts.co.uk, and you can check out the other videos on Facebook and YouTube, and I will be here again tomorrow on DLD Day to recap all the things I've been talking about over the last 5 days. Thank you very much for listening.